Good morning, friends. Welcome back to GM Philosophy in the Morning. I'm the GM Philosopher. Today we're talking about something really interesting called the Purple Cow Method. Now, this is a method that you can use to make your D&D games way more exciting, to create more immersion, to make your sessions more memorable. But I don't know if you've ever heard about this because it's actually more of a marketing tactic than a gaming tactic. But the interesting thing is that it works perfectly for in-game. So let's dive in and talk about what the Purple Cow is. You're not going to miss this. Now, the other day, I was just doing my thing. I was browsing online. I was flipping through my player handbook. I was doing some research for my next session of the Barren Lands, and also just engaging in some casual conversation on my Discord. By the way, you should join the Discord. The link is in the description. And I actually stumbled across this technique on YouTube. It was on a video published by the channel Diary of a CEO, and it was an interview with none other than Mr. Beast. I will link to that interview down in the description so you can watch it if you'd like. If you're interested in marketing or interested in YouTube, I would highly suggest giving it a watch. Anyway, partly through that interview, Mr. Beast brings up the Purple Cow. Now you might be asking, what is the Purple Cow? Well, apparently this is something that Mr. Beast has referenced before in past interviews, and it is basically a YouTube tactic he uses to come up with videos that will be a hit with his audience. And here's how it works. Imagine this. You are driving down the road and you look to the left and suddenly you see a cow. Yes, you see a normal cow. Is this going to get your attention? Well, if you've seen many other cows in your life, probably not. In fact, you're probably not going to really give it a second glance. It's not going to be something to write home about. You're probably not going to walk away thinking, wow, what a crazy experience. You're just going to be like, oh, that's a cow. And that is a lot of what YouTubers make, according to Mr. Beast. They're making videos that really everyone has seen before. And this is why the videos don't get a whole lot of traction and why they don't really go viral. Just for fun, drop me a comment and let me know. Do you think that D&D YouTube has fallen into this trap? I would be super interested to hear your perspective. People take one look and think, oh, well, okay, whatever. I've seen like a dozen of those before. And unfortunately, this plays true in our D&D games as well. A lot of times we put things in front of players thinking to ourselves, oh, this will be a cool thing. But the truth is the players have maybe seen that before. They've seen it done or they've seen it played out that way. And it's just not that memorable to them. It might even move into the range of being somewhat boring. At the very least, it's unremarkable. Just to let you know, once I finish explaining what the Purple Cow is, I'm going to teach you how to do it. Just stay tuned. Just keep with me. We're going to get there. I'm going to teach you how to make it so that this problem does not plague your games. And so here's what the Purple Cow analogy does for us. Imagine instead that you're driving down the road and you look to your left and you see a purple cow standing beside the road. You're going to think to yourself, what in the heck? You might even slam on your brakes and pull over and be like, look, am I seeing this right? Is this real? This is going to get your undivided attention. Why? Because how often do we drive down the road and see a purple cow? Well, maybe almost never. If you count the number of times you have been driving down the road and seen a purple cow, you would probably count 0 because this is just a really rare thing. It's not super common. People don't usually see this. People don't usually experience this. You might take a picture of it. You might call your friends or text your friends, or you might even put it on video, be like, I have to capture this. I can't let this moment pass. This is really wild, right? This is gonna be a big deal to you. And that is the kind of thing that's gonna get a lot of people's attention. A lot of cows look like cows, but there are very few cows that truly would stand out like a purple cow. And this is the idea behind successful YouTube marketing. It's also the idea behind successful D&D campaigns. Now, you know what the purple cow is. Thank you to Mr. Beast for giving us this analogy, but what you may not know is how to actually put it into your games, because it's actually not so just common sense. This is why there are entire marketing companies who study to try to come up with how to make this analogy work for their business in a literal sense for creating viral YouTube videos. Just knowing the secret isn't enough to actually making it work on YouTube, just like just knowing the secret isn't enough to make it work in your D&D games. Quick question. Do you feel like you put amazing purple cow moments into your games as a GM, or do you feel like this is something you kind of struggle with? Drop a comment and let me know. I would love to hear the statistics and data on that. But even more importantly, I'd be interested to hear about your experience. Drop a comment, let me know. And this, my friends, brings us to the next big question of the video. After understanding what the purple cow is, a huge cosmic question weighs upon us. To answer it, how do we put it into our games? Well, I'm about to lead you on kind of a random plot arc and describe exactly how this is done, because I have very successfully utilized this technique in my D&D games, and I was doing it for years without even really realizing it, and it generated a lot of success. Speaking of that, you should also download my Ultimate Plot Randomizer. This is a free ebook I give away. Join my email list, get the download link in your first email. Contains 4 D100 tables to let you roll random plot arcs on the fly. Super cool. Make sure you grab it. Anyway, I've managed to create many purple cow moments in my games by doing kind of wild, unexpected, and extreme things, and then contrasting those things with kind of long periods of mundanity and normalcy. Is mundanity even a word? If it wasn't, it is now. But yeah, to create purple cow moments, you have to show the players something they've never seen before. You have to do something that has never really been done before, at least not to them or in front of them, and it needs to be emotionally impactful. See, this is the thing. You can only describe things so crazy in a D&D game. You can show pictures and stuff too, but to be really honest, the real value comes from the inspiration and the way that you deliver it. And let's be really honest about it. No matter how good you are at describing a purple cow in the game of D&D, it will never add up to seeing one in real life, which is why in D&D the stakes have to be a little higher, and we have to use a few more narrative tools to rope the players in and make them care as much as they would if it was happening in real life, or at least close enough to real life that they do care to a significant enough degree that it matters. And nothing is going to hit with a massive dramatic impact like an emotional connection to something. So finding a way to make it contrasting enough or to make it mind-blowing enough to not only leave them thinking, wow, that's different, but also, wow, that affects me. Actually, that hits my feelings. These are some of the magic ingredients needed to create amazing purple cow moments in your D&D games. I once created a pretty amazing purple cow moment in one of my games when the group who had taken a hag child into their care. That is a very long and complicated story. But basically, they had taken her with them. They were traveling with her. She was 13-ish years old, which is at the cusp where she still kind of looks humanoid and she has not transformed fully to hag. Also, her urge to reproduce is just developing. It hasn't quite crossed over into manifesting into action yet. But I don't know if you know this about hags, but they tend to mature at about 13. They cross over into looking like a hag, being full-fledged hag. But before then, they kind of look like, innocent humanoid person. She was just a relatively normal, if emo-seeming teenage half-elf, actually. But then she also started getting this urge to have babies. Now, the way hags have babies is they have to basically curse a pregnant mother, remove the baby from the mother, and then adopt it in a dark, unholy rite where they basically consume it and then they give birth to it themselves. This is how hag mothers reproduce. And this hag child was just itching to create a baby of her own. The group knew this. They had seen many signs. They had heard her saying a lot of questionable things, and they were trying to stave it off. They were kind of like, yeah, if we can just keep her from doing anything crazy, she's actually kind of useful to us. She can disguise self, and she's pretty good with a bow staff. She's not bad to have around in a scrap, and she's actually relatively intelligent. We would like to keep her around as a friend. If we can just keep this urge to reproduce in such a malevolent way at bay. Note, if you have any wild and crazy stories like this, drop them in the comments. I want to read them. What kind of crazy stuff have you done too? I mean, in front of your players. But alas, during an adventure on a tropical island where they encountered a beautiful, pregnant mother who was just about to give birth, the worst of the worst happened. The adolescent hag, filled with the powerful urge to procreate and continue her bloodline, caught the mother alone at night in her hut, put her to sleep, cast evil spells on her, carved said child from the womb, used entrails to create a ritual circle on the ground, and proceeded with her unholy rite. The party found the scene after the hag adolescent had been done and had already gone back to the ship. They found the entrails, they saw the ritual symbols, and let me tell you, my description of this, which I'm quite proud of actually, maybe in kind of a dark way, but I'm kind of proud of it, was a true purple cow moment. I can tell you with certainty that none of these players had ever quite seen anything like this happen in a game. The scene was truly horrific. And the way I described it, even though I held back on some of the more gratuitously gory details, the way that I described it left several jaws on the floor. Have you ever described a scene that you're particularly proud of that you thought was kind of a challenge, but that turned out really, really good and your players were like, oh my gosh, if so, I would like to hear about that too. Drop me a comment and let me know. I love hearing about what kind of scenes you all are describing to your players. And it was actually a really magical moment. And for a few of the players, it caught them really by surprise. For a few of them, it inspired quite a bit of anger. And for those who had befriended the loving, beautiful elf mother who had now been lost and her other daughter, this inspired quite a lot of sadness and rage. And the party went directly to the ship to deal with Thorn and this hag nonsense that she had caused on the island. It was quite beautifully successful and really, for me, as far as it goes in my games, I would call it one of my top 10 purple cow moments in my own games. The kind of moments make players be like, whoa. The kind of moments that players remember forever. The kind of stuff they don't see very often. The kind of stuff that even years later, you find yourselves talking about after your last session or over a glass of sweet tea as you're reminiscing about former games you've played together. And this is what creates the most magical moments in D&D. Now, for those of you who might be wondering, but GM Philosopher, how do I come up with that kind of stuff? Like, I usually don't think about that stuff right off the fly. How do I come up with it? One way to do this is by using the go deeper method, which I have talked about on this channel before, and I'm going to explain that, but I'm going to explain it a third, and you're going to see why. You're not going to want to miss it. Just keep watching and we'll get there. Well, there's a couple different ways you can do it. Number one, you can use random roll tables. In fact, I have a tool called the Ultimate Adventure Generator, a massive collection of 163 random roll tables to assist you in generating amazing TTRPG fantasy adventures printed on 310 print-friendly pages. This print-friendly ebook has literally 16 chapters of amazing random tables for days and days and days, rolling on all kinds of different and crazy stuff. The link to that is down in the description. That's like my best-selling ebook. You can buy that for $5.99, very, very affordable. Random roll and some stuff. You're probably going to come up with some really sweet, awesome scenarios just rolling on, like random tables like that. I actually use a lot of random tables to help me generate first-level ideas that I then expound on with my own creativity. Also, just to note, if you'd like access to this ebook and my entire ebook collection, you should just join my Ko-Fi. There are several different membership tiers available. Ko-Fi memberships help to support the Discord, the YouTube channel, the email list, and everything else I do for the community. Support an awesome community that's helping game masters to run games that are more fun for themselves and others. And also, we update the ebook library literally every month. New books dropping every single month. Gain access to everything I've ever released in the ebook library, plus everything I'm going to release by becoming a Ko-Fi member. Support the community and get awesome stuff. Boom. With that being said, random tables are not the only way to come up with purple cow level ideas. You can also come up with these types of ideas by using your own creative inspiration. For example, a lot of times, if you get a crazy idea, and you immediately think, okay, I'm going to follow that idea. Go with your gut, flesh out that idea. That can be treated in almost the same way as a random roll table. Another thing you can do is you can use inspiration from TV or movies. Did a particular moment in a particularly wild TV show or movie get you thinking, oh my gosh, that's so crazy. Did it really stand out as memorable and blow your mind? I have one word for you. The opening sequence to 28 Days Later. That scene blew my mind. To this day, it's one of my favorite scenes. Okay, that was more than one word, I'll admit it, but it's still awesome. If so, you may be able to repurpose that and put it into your games. Oh, I have. Your players may feel the same way. Of course, you can put your own creative spin on it. It's really a combination of external inspiration with your own instincts, going with your gut and how to show it to your players and basically provide the descriptions for it, provide the context for it in your own unique fashion, and put the spin on it that'll make it really interesting and make your players think this is actually really unique. I have never seen anything like this in a game before. Do that and you will have yourself a true purple cow moment. With that being said, there is still one more method that we can use to create purple cow moments in our games, and that is by using what I call the go deeper method. Now, those of you who've watched my channel a lot have heard me talk about this a lot. I like to talk about going deeper with concepts to make them really get closer to the core, to take them to a level that maybe the players haven't seen before, to take them to a whole new creative level. And to do that, we have to go a level deeper. So if your first instinct is to think, there's going to be a scene in a kitchen, maybe there's going to be a pie in the oven. How can I take this a level deeper to make this a purple cow moment? How can I take this from being a normal pie in the oven scene to being a purple cow moment? Okay, well, first of all, if all of your players get in there and there's the oven here and you know that there's a pie in there, you think to yourself, okay, how can I make this a level deeper? Well, let's make this different. Everyone has seen an oven with a pie in it, but now maybe they're in there and then the oven starts to shake. Okay, now this is different. How many people have seen an oven shake while there's a pie in there? Maybe this gets your players' attention. They're looking in there and then they start to hear noises, right? So we're going to go another level deeper now. They look a little closer and then they realize that there are noises coming from inside the oven. And then they hear a help me coming from inside the oven, right? They're like, what in the world? And then they realize that the oven is like iron front, but there are these little grate holes. So maybe they look through the grate holes and they see something in there standing in the pie, waving its arms, and then it starts banging on the door like, let me out, right? So then we think, okay, what is going on here? But let's go a level deeper. How can we make this so crazy and unforgettable, right? And this is just off the top of my head, just trying to go a level deeper. We take a concept and we go deeper. How can we make this more memorable? Go deeper. How can we make this wild? Go deeper. How can we blow our players' minds and make them think, oh my God, go a level deeper, right? We want to keep going deeper. So now maybe they like open the gate, or maybe instead of opening the front, the kitchen person comes in and then runs up there. They pull a spoon out of the little basin and they open the hatch, and then this gingerbread looking fellow tries to jump out, and then they just start beating him and they like kick him back into the oven and they slam the door. And then this is all happening right in front of the players, right? Now, this is the kind of scene that's probably going to get some players' attention, right? It's probably going to make them think, oh my gosh, what's going on? But let's take it one level deeper. How can we go even one level deeper here? How can we make this even more crazy? This kitchen person is going to turn around to the players and say, I apologize. Okay, so that was our last kitchen hand. He was no good at his job. So he's getting baked into a pie. Will you do me a favor? If he tries to escape, will you just like hold the gate shut, or like, put your foot against it? Don't like burn yourself, but he really can't be escaping. And besides, once he gets good and cooked, he'll kind of settle down and it'll make a delicious crust on the pie. So if you would help me just like keep him in there, that would be so awesome. Thank you so much. And then they like go to walk out. See, so we could take, just by going a level deeper, we take a situation where there's a normal stove and there's a normal pie, but then we make it deeper and we make it weirder and we make it weirder, right? You see what I'm saying? So we don't want to get zany though. There can be a little bit of humor, but mostly we want impact. We want memorable moments. So humor can help to create that, but also like kind of like sadist type situations can help that. Very extreme violence can do that. Sadness can do that. There are a lot of different emotions that can evoke that memorableness that we're looking for in the purple cow moment. But we do have to evoke some kind of emotion. There has to be some departure from the usualness of life, and there needs to be some kind of contrast. And once you put those ingredients together, you will come up undoubtedly with many purple cow moments for your campaign that will blow your characters' minds and make them think, oh my God, this is the best game master, the best game I've ever played in. And that, my friends, is where we are going to leave it for today. Thank you so much for coming back for another episode of GM Philosophy in the Morning. At this point, I'm here almost every day, creating videos about the best game in the world, D&D. Hit that thumbs up and that subscribe button for me. Roll some D100s, it's your next game, and I will see you awesome people on the next one.